Join the Cougar Collective today, your home base for all NIL opportunities, connecting student athletes, fans, and business owners. Join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90. You can also make a one-time donation. And if you're a business, you can collaborate your brand. Also, drink the Old Crimson Legendary Lager brewed by Pike Brewing. Sales benefit the Cougar Collective. Visit cougarcollective.org. Go Cougs! Old Crimson Cougars Podcast is off to a great start here this week. It's all brought to you by the Cougar Collective. It's your home base for all NIL opportunities, connecting student athletes, fans, and business owners. Join today, hashtag Mighty by Many, supporting student athletes on and off the field. You can join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90 a month. You can also visit cougarcollective.org for more information. Go drink the Old Crimson Legendary Lager as well. It's brewed by Pike Brewing. Sales benefit the collective. And got a basketball game coming up November 21st in Spokane against the Eastern Washington Eagles. Go to the Coug Collective on Twitter. You're going to see a link to purchase tickets for that game in Spokane, November 21st. Proceeds go and benefit the Cougar Collective. Also brought to you by Flat Stick Pub, Cougar owned and operated. Big thanks to Andy Largent. 6 great locations across the state: Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. FlatStickPub.com. Jason Puckett, Paul Sorensen, and the one and only Jim Moore. Well, let's start with the Utah State game. It was, they handled business. They covered the spread. There was some good, some bad. Felt like Paul, they should have blown them out even more, but whatever. A win is a win, right?
It's a dub, baby. Who cares about the score? I mean, we thought it'd be high 40s, low 50s, ish. And I think they did what they needed to do. They gave up a touchdown late on a guy that, was passing popcorn out probably in the previous home game. 1 touch, 75 yards. Awful job by the guys to fill their gaps, and the guy hit the hole and split the 2 safeties and had better speed than our backup safeties. So, give them credit. I mean, that's a decent football team as well in terms of what they do, and they're out there to win the game as well. They have scholarships, and, give Washington State credit. 8-1. They're in the mix in the college football playoffs. They're beating the teams they're supposed to. They beat Washington. They beat Texas Tech. They lost to a good Boise State team at their place with a 7-point. They were down 7 with about 6.5 minutes to go and let a couple of touchdowns in late, and that made a difference in that game. And they're going to go on the road and have to face a really tough, that's getting better New Mexico team. I was just down there 2 weeks ago. Altitude, there's going to be weather. It's a salty team. It's a weird offense, and they got guys that can run. So if Washington State doesn't go into that game, with their head on a swivel and having good technique, against this team, it's going to be a long day. I think the Cougs will score a shit ton of points, but they're going to have to do a better job defensively.
I mean, that line got a little, it got a little weird there for a little bit there, Jimbo. I wasn't liking it.
No, you're talking about the betting line or the offensive line or defensive line?
Why would I ask you about the offensive line?
Why would we ask about the kicker?
Why would we ask you about the offensive line? What the hell would you know about the offensive line? Yes, I'm talking about the betting line.
No, the offensive line, man, they've been playing better, and we got to protect that A gap, Puck.
Could you name? Can you name one?
Yeah.
Can you name one person on the Cougars offensive line? Honestly,
are you fucking kidding me? No, I can't. I really can't. I'm sorry. I consider myself a big Cougar fan. I don't
big fan.
But I think as a group, they're blocking better lately. And I like what I'm seeing from the defensive line, too. We're getting more of a pass rush. Can I name some of our guys that are pass rushers? Not really. I mean, if I tried to name them, I'd probably mispronounce them. But I like what I'm seeing. And, yeah, you're right. We were favored by 20.5, and I was worried that garbage time touchdown by Utah State that the coach might go for 2 and cost us the gambling win as well as the regular old football win. But, no, it worked out well.
That would not have been good if he would have went for 2. That son of a bitch. That'd have been awful. For those, it was funny that you mentioned that because I was kind of looking around the stadium to see if he would do it, just to see if I could find anyone with a collective moan going, "No, don't go for 2. What are you doing?"
I was so happy to see their kicker out there.
Yeah, good. All right, we're gonna get into that. I want to get into a Mateer, a soundbite. I'm gonna play something for you. from our good friend Johnny Canzano about the cost of keeping material. We're going to talk about the college football playoff chances. We'll get into the job that Jake Dickert has done and the health of Wayshawn Parker. But I want to pick up kind of what you said there, Paul. I mean, they're going to go play New Mexico. This New Mexico team is a weird bunch. I mean, they're 4-6. There's Kathy. Kathy is joining the Old Crimson.
Yay!
Wow! I didn't know that they actually kissed.
PG-rated podcast now. Look
she
at that.
actually loves you.
Hey,
Wow, geez, cop a feel right now. Cop a feel.
Okay.
There's Kathy, the Old Crimson, #1 Old Crimson Cougar podcast fan. There's Kathy Moore.
What a great lady. That lady's going to be sainted for being married to you for that long. I'm telling you.
Right. Because she deals with you.
Yeah, we only have to deal with you for 45 minutes a week. Well, podcasts will do a little bit more.
Can you imagine living? Can you imagine living with him, Paul?
Hey, listen.
Oh my God!
I suck at other parts of my life, but as a husband, I can't be topped. Now, don't talk to my ex-wife about.
Wait a minute! You're on your second marriage. What are you talking about?
Well, shit! Somebody should have pulled me away from the altar when I was 23.
Yeah.
Getting married at 23.
It's always somebody else's fault, Paul. God. It's always somebody else's fault.
Forward, 3-point back, baby. Got to take some ownership, pal.
Hey, talk to me about this New Mexico team. I mean, they're 4-6, but they're 3-3 in conference play. Bronco Mendenhall is a good coach, man. BYU, Virginia. They just got done beating San Diego State 21-16. Mm-hmm. They look good. They run a funky defense. They got a dual threat quarterback that actually has more rushing yards than John Mateer. I think Cougar fans are going to look at this. They're going to see the spread, and they're going to think, "Oh, New Mexico. This is going to be an interesting game." I think for the Cougs.
They're getting better each week. They're improving each week, and that's a sign of a well-coached team. Bronco Mendenhall, 139-87. Okay, he's got 139 wins. The dude knows how to coach. He's a defensive guy. They run a 3-3 stack, which is a bitch because you can blitz from so many different angles. They have 3 down defensive linemen. Then they'll put 3 linebackers behind them, and then they have basically 5 guys, kind of a nickel package. So they can bring pressure from all over the place, and he disguises it really well. Cougs went down there, I think, in the Brink era and won like 21-17 or so. It was a close game. It was an ugly game. And I think Rocky Long was a quarterback back in the day, and they had to scramble and hang on. And I was just down in Albuquerque 2 weeks ago. First time I'd been to New Mexico, and it was awesome. We found a cool casino gym you'd have loved. Went out there, we were watching Monday Night Football, the final, Major League Baseball. I wish I'd brought my golf clubs because they had an awesome golf course there, but I had to go to a conference and actually work, which sucked. But that's the way it goes. But I mean, overall, this is a team. They run a single wing offense, okay? They have 7 offensive linemen that they brought in on NIL deals. 7 that they brought in that are better. Their quarterback is nasty. I don't know if he's a Lamar Jackson kind of clone, but he's a guy, not a great thrower, but he can run. And if he's the guy that if you don't keep in the pocket, you let him get outside, you're dead. So they're going to have to. You got to be smart at how you attack him. So Schmedding is going to be up late at night doing schemes to try to figure out a way to have different people, basically spy on him because he is a force. And they have 2 good running backs that could potentially both be 1,000-yard rushers this year. So
I hate dual threat quarterbacks.
I
hate
do
them.
too.
And Devin Dampier is his name. He's got 872 yards on the ground this year. He's averaging almost 8 yards a carry. He's thrown for over 2,400 yards. I mean, he's not accurate. You're right. He's 58% completion percentage. But then they got this other running back, Eli Sanders. He's got 834 yards on the ground. They got 2 wide receivers that are over 600 yards receiving. I mean, listen, we've talked a lot about this defense. And I think they've made improvements at times, but I still think it's the one thing if they do trip up the rest of the season, it will be because of this defense. This is why this game scares the life out of me.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting here getting a kick out of what you guys are saying. You make it sound like we're playing Oregon or Georgia or something. I mean, did you realize that
we are in New Mexico,
Wyoming this year?
Did I realize what?
They lost to Wyoming this year, didn't they?
Hey, they lost to Montana State in their first game. Big Sky.
Yeah, okay. All right, so they lost to Montana State. Can you guys talk to the College Football Playoff Committee and tell them what you think of New Mexico, and hopefully they'll take that into account?
All right. So let me ask you something, smartass. So based on all your just football knowledge of knowing what's Wyoming all about?
Oh.
What?
Just give me a scouting report on Wyoming since you know so much about them.
Wyoming's 2-7.
No, but why? Well, how'd they get to 2-7?
They lost Idaho.
What? And New Mexico lost to Wyoming. I'm just saying that I appreciate the Lou Holtz take on things here with New Mexico and respecting the opponent. And we're favored by 12.
He doesn't know, Paul. He has no idea because he didn't watch him play against San Diego State.
Second. Mm-hmm. I know sometimes I'm just blathering gibberish here.
Sometimes.
The thing I'm going to give Paul here is that it's a road game. Okay, we know it's a road game. They're going to be fired up down there. I like your altitude comment there because that might be a factor too.
And weather. I think it could be snowy. It's supposed to snow. Terrible.
Trap game before we play the other Pac-2 team in Corvallis. And the pressure keeps mounting because we need to keep winning to be considered. I know it's an outside shot, a really outside shot, like a half-court shot at this point to make it in. But we still have a whisper of a hope anyway. So I think the pressure's building on us. I'll factor in all those different things. But as far as which team is better, and, watch now. Dampier, the quarterback, he's probably going to go nutball. He'll go crazy against us after me saying all this shit and jinxing us. But I don't go into this game going, wow, what, New Mexico, man, how are we going to beat them? These receivers.
No one said that. No one fucking said that. No one said that.
Dude,
we just said.
Trying to present a picture here on what they're facing.
You guys, I swear to God, go back and listen to what you had to say about this team. I mean, you guys are making it sound like there's some sort of fucking juggernaut. They're not.
They are better than you realize. You have not watched them play a single snap this year.
I have not seen a single play, but I did some show prep, and I looked at some of the stats.
Jim,
they're number 11 in the Mountain West Conference in defense.
Jim, I'm telling you.
They're better, Jim.
Interceptions all year.
They're better. They're an improved team. They're getting better. That's a sign of a well-coached team as they've improved. They went out and lost the game. They let Montana State drive the field and beat them at the end. They've gotten better consistently. They just beat San Diego State down on the beach in San Diego. And they did it easier than we did. So there you go, man. And the other thing that people don't understand, okay, you remember how we get fired up in the old days? All our fans used to love it when USC would come to Pullman or Washington would come to Pullman. All these teams that we never usually got to come to Pullman will come to Pullman. Everybody shows up, okay? Well, that's what New Mexico, all the Mountain West teams hate our guts that are not in the Pac-12. They want to kick our ass. This is their biggest game of the season. Yeah. They get fired up for this crap. So we're the hunted for a change. It's different than what we've been putting up with for the last 108 years in the Pac-12.
Jim, when you were like playing golf and drinking, like I actually, Paul and I we do homework. We actually watch the games, and so we watched New Mexico play San Diego State, and they looked more dominant against San Diego State than the Cougars did. They almost had 500 yards of total offense against them.
They were big players.
This quarterback is legit. And I'm just do you think the Wazoo defense is good?
You're almost making me feel bad, Puck. I mean, almost.
No,
I mean,
no. Do you think
it's real
do
close.
You think the defense is good?
In fact, I'm thinking about ending my retirement and going back to work full time because I feel like such a slacker. And what I bring to the Old Crimson Podcast is not nearly what you guys with your football knowledge.
Oh, no. You bring the old, baby. You bring the old in the Old Crimson Podcast.
I'm just telling you,
no,
I think.
I'm with you, Puck. I mean, which side of the ball is our weakest? It's definitely the defensive side. Have they not improved? I mean, they've improved. I mean, but
have they? I mean, how much have they improved?
How do you gauge that, though? How do you gauge that against our opposition? You don't really know. I think we're adequate. I think we're okay. Does anyone really think we're college football playoff worthy?
Well, I don't, but I'm just saying it is the Achilles.
The Achilles conversation.
Right.
That's all we want to do.
I'm with you, Paul.
We're not going to get in because if they're going to let 3-loss SEC teams in, they can suck it. And just say it's a Big Ten SEC playoff championship series because nobody else, they don't care about any of the other teams out there. They're going to let 3-loss teams in on that crap, and they're going to eliminate a team like Boise State or say BYU or say an Army or say us at 1 loss. Screw them.
Yeah. My point is, hold on. My point is, I want to just finish up New Mexico here before we get into the college football playoff. is there's a lot of Cougar fans are going to go into this thinking it's New Mexico, they're 4-6 like you are. And I'm telling you, they have not. They are the better team. Washington State is the better team. They've got the better athletes. They got all of it. I'm just saying, when you face a team on their home field, and Paul is right, when they got left out, so they're going to use it as motivation. And when you have a dual threat quarterback, and you face they run a unique offense that you never ever see. I'm just telling you, for a defense that struggles against normal offenses, when you see a single wing, there's no prep for it. There's no, you can't learn it and try to figure it out in 4 days. This kid's an athlete.
Well,
when he gets out on the edge, he is out.
Here's another thing, Puck. When you have a one-off like a quarterback that can run, that's an extra guy to block. So you're getting double-teamed on the edge. You're getting double-teamed in the gap because your quarterback now, just like Mateer, look what Mateer's done, the problems that he causes defenses, Jim. When you have a guy that's a one-off like Dampier is and you get an extra blocker in there, you've got to account for that. And that's really difficult defensively.
I think they should win the game. I expect them to win the game, obviously.
You're not going to lay the 12, though.
No, I don't bet on these guys ever. I just think it's – I don't know. They're a better football team than their record indicates.
Cougs are going to win this game, but it's not going to be easy. Yeah, I think the Cougs win it, but not easy.
Okay, part of me is just being the devil's advocate here. I am. Because I'm with you guys. I hope – I mean, the Cougs, the last game we saw them on the road, San Diego State, they were lucky to win that one. So and they were lucky to win at Fresno State, honestly. I mean, we got that gift interception. So I'm with you on that. But at the same time, this is a team that we're facing that's 1-3 at home and 4-6 overall. So it's not like they're that great either.
Okay, but what you just said something there though. So the Cougars are what they're 8-1, right?
Yeah, and they could be what, 5-4?
Okay, then
they
they're in line.
Washington.
So therein lies
San Diego State. Look at it that way. So
therein lies our point though.
Yeah,
that's the point though. I mean, they're not like. It's not like they're got to 8-1 in some dominating fashion.
Yeah, and okay, no, you're right. You're right. Okay, you want me to give you that? I'll say you're right. But to Paul's point,
Scott, you cut out. Could you cut out? Could you say that one more time?
You're right,
Paul. You even have to admit. Come on, man. If we played an SC, like let's say Georgia has 3 losses and they make it in, and you'll be outraged. It sounds like. But can you imagine if we played Georgia's schedule? What our record would be?
I would love to play Georgia's schedule because they didn't let us play Georgia's schedule because nobody wanted Washington State and Oregon State in their little conference. So we're playing the teams that we can play. We're a damn good Mountain West team. We're a damn good Pac-2 team. We don't have the option to play in the Big Ten or the SEC or the Big 12 because those people stovepiped us. So you know what? I don't buy that argument either. I played in the Pac-10. We played good teams. We'd always go play really good non-conference teams because nobody would come play us in Pullman. So I'm not buying that crap. There's enough parity now in college football because of the transfer portal and NIL. When you're seeing 3-loss Georgias and Alabamas and LSUs of the world, there has been a lot of change in the last couple of years. There's not that dominant team.
Paul, do you think we'd have a chance against Georgia?
Yes. First
like
half.
How good a chance?
I don't know. I think it's a 14-point
underdog to Georgia easy.
Yeah, I think I agree. We're probably 2 touchdown underdogs, but you know what? You get them in tier, you get hot. You've got to be able to way to figure it out. From that perspective, we can score on anybody.
You got to remember, Jim. You got to remember, he's a player. The players are different than you and I.
Georgia would probably wipe the turf with us, to be honest.
Then let's find out. Let's get to the college football playoffs and see what happens. There you go.
Let's bring on before we play this next clip. I want to bring on Jamey Vinnick. Jamey Vinnick joins us here from. There he is. You love Jamey Vinnick. Hey, great lighting there for Jamey Vinnick. Jamey Vinnick from Coug Fan, covers the Cougs there from CougFan.com, joins us. He usually joins us, gives us a quick practice report. I want to ask you about kind of the health of the football team here in a quick second. I want to get specifically on Wayshawn Parker and then what they're doing at the guard position. I don't think they really know what they're doing at the guard position. They're just kind of throwing stuff up against the wall. I want to play this clip, though, for all 3 of you from my visit with John Canzano this week. And it's in regards to What is it going to cost to keep John Mateer this offseason? What's the price tag going to be in the transfer portal? What is the price tag for someone like John Mateer in the portal?
Yeah, guys are getting $1 million, now $2 million. You sort of look at Dylan Gabriel's package at Oregon. I saw a number out there at $2 million. So I would have to think John Mateer is $1 million guy, right? $750,000 to $1 million guy. And so if you're Washington State and you're Jake Dickert, you either have to come up with that money or you have to come up with the sales pitch to Mateer and enough money that makes him believe that he is, better off staying right there in Pullman where he is featured and they understand him and they believed in him when maybe some others did not.
Jamey, how do they afford $1 million for John Mateer?
Not easily. I think that's probably the first thing. It's not easy. I mean, that is a high price tag that, a lot of, for Michigan, that's not that bad. For Oregon, that's not that bad. For Washington State, can they get there? I mean, look, maybe we can call it being naive if we want. I tend to believe that they will be able to get to a dollar sign. Combined with the comfort that he's going to have here and the knowledge that there's no one else coming in. He is QB1. You go to Michigan, they bring in 3 other guys. You go to Oregon, they bring in 3 other guys. John Mateer is the starting quarterback at Washington State as long as he wants to be. I'm hopeful that Washington State will put enough on the table for him. Obviously, look, there's a dollar sign for everyone, but I think there's a very real possibility Washington State can put a dollar sign on the table between the NIL packages and so on, and combine that with the security that I think John is looking for. Again, we see a lot of guys jump in the portal, chase the dollar sign, and then they end up on the bench and they end up transferring again.
So, Paul, he, if Canzano is right, he's going to command $1 million. $1 million. What do you? Can they afford it?
Well, he already has an offer. I mean,
there's an offer of $1 million right now.
Yeah, he does. So, from that perspective, I don't know what school it is, but I know there's one sitting on the table. It's out there right now. Now,
I thought you were saying that we had the offer for $1 million.
No,
Jesus.
But I will say this, and I think there's a caveat in this deal. Arbuckle and also Jake Dickert. Having those guys in the mix is going to be a big deal. And there's hometown discounts that go on all over the place, whether it's Cougar basketball or Cougar baseball or Cougar football. The grass is not always greener. Okay, and I think Jamey had a valid point when he was talking, basically saying that if you go to a Michigan or a Texas A&M or an Oregon or USC, they're going to bring in 3 guys and they're going to pay them pretty much the same level, it's not that big a deal. Penix was over $3 million when he was at UW. Their salary was a lot higher for some selective guys, and you saw the benefit. They went to the national championship game. But I think the collective is going to be able to put together a deal. They got a package with Northern Quest. They got a package with Cosmic Crisp. They got the barbecue dude out there. They've got the Cougar Collective thing going. They're going to be able to compete. It's probably not going to be 7 figures, but it's going to be one that will make him at least have a conversation and say, hey, this is kind of what I need to be. I'm close to where I need to be, but this is what's sitting out there right now.
But do you think the Cougars and their collective can afford it if the price tag is going to be $1 million for John Mateer? Can they play in that sandbox?
I think getting to $1 million will be hard. I don't know if there's the war chest to do that. I think their best argument and their best case is, okay, you're not going to get quite as much money, but you're the guy here. This is your kingdom. You have the keys to the castle. Everything you want in terms of starting quarterback, big man on campus, it's all right here. And I think as we're seeing, there is still a chance for Washington State to get places without having to be in the Big Ten, the Pac-12, et cetera. Obviously this year maybe isn't the best driving point for that, considering, barring some kind of miracle, they probably will end up short. But a tougher schedule next year. If you can put together a similar season, those conversations do open up. So, again, I can't say, I don't want to say anything for certain. I don't want to say, no, there's no way no chance that they can get to the $1 million or however much it will take to keep him. But I think the most likely scenario for John to stay in Pullman would be, again, a lesser dollar sign with the NIL money and so on. But the case and the argument that you leave, you are going into an unknown. Yeah, maybe you end up like Cam Ward and you become a Heisman contender. Maybe you end up like the hundreds of other quarterbacks who chase a bag, who go, try and play at the Blue Bloods and then wind up on the bench and then they're back in the portal. So, I tend to believe that for a quarterback especially, where system matters and comfort matters and confidence matters, I think there is still a very real chance that they can keep him by convincing him of that.
Boy, yeah, I want to believe everything that's being said here. I do, in the worst way. But, I mean, Cam Ward left last year, and was that because we had Mateer waiting in the wings? Maybe. Our backups this year. I don't even know how to phrase this because I've been negative the whole damn podcast here. But I'll be surprised as hell if John Mateer is our quarterback next year. Because if Paul's saying right now that there's another program that's already got an offer of $1 million on the table, and if Mateer continues to play the way that he has, and Dickert, your story the other day talking about, best quarterback on the West Coast. Well, if you're the best quarterback on the West Coast, you're going to have more than $1 million offer, and then it's going to go to $1.2 million, $1.5 million. Paul was talking about Dylan Gabriel getting $2 million. Come on, John Mateer. Gabriel probably. What would you weigh those two guys out and go, okay, maybe Gabriel's a little better, but he's not that much better than Mateer if you want to make that case. Mateer, the way he can run, the way he can throw, and the potential still. He's got a higher ceiling. I mean, they're going to be throwing money in the bushelfuls toward him. And so I just can't imagine, as much as I appreciate what the collective is doing, that culture, family, loyalty, all the stuff that we like to believe is part of us as Cougs will be enough to keep John Mateer in Pullman. I don't really have a question for you there, Jamie, but it was better than me asking about the kicker again, wasn't it?
No, we don't want to hear about the kicker again. We're good. Hey, Paul.
But I think you guys are being naive, man. I mean, I just...
No one... First of all,
it will blow me away. It will completely blow me away if John Mateer is taking the first snap next year at Washington State. I'm sorry. I wanted to. I love that kid.
No one's
on my fantasy team. He's been lights out. It's been awesome. Shit.
Everyone's really thrilled. Everyone's thrilled to know that he's on your fantasy team.
That you have with Mateer. Thank you.
Yeah, we love that you have a fantasy team. Great.
Second place in the damn league, and
who's your kicker?
Yeah, who's your kicker? Is Janikowski your kicker?
Anyway, Jamie, your thoughts on all of that?
What on the fact that you have him on your fantasy team?
Or the kicker?
What's the question? You didn't. There's no fucking question. That
sounded like a statement to me. Wasn't that a reading of the rights?
I know that's
I've been accused by Jake of being a fantasy obsessed guy, and I don't even play college fantasy football.
Good Lord, what kind of loser plays fantasy college football?
You know what it is? It's all the old Pac-12 teams. So even if you don't play in the Pac-2 anymore, I got a guy from Utah on my team, Money Parks. So it's kind of fun.
Anyways, I think there is a legit concern that, yes, it doesn't matter who you are. There's a dollar sign where you can't say.
Of course.
And I think, and I think it would be naive to believe otherwise. I don't think, we're going to sit here and say, if Oregon says, John, here's $3 million, yeah, he's going to go to Oregon. I mean, you can have all the loyalty, you can have all the in the world. That's a dollar sign that can't be matched. And I think every guy has a price. I do think, though, that, again, like I said, there's a dollar sign, but I think in some ways it's different than Cam. Let me put it that way. Cam was on the first train out of town. Cam was, he was planning on going to the NFL. There was no scenario where Cam Ward was coming back to Washington State next year. It was a different OC that brought him here, which is also fair with Mateer, although Mateer has played more under Arbuckle. Cam had his sights on the NFL. It's a different situation. John is fiercely loyal to Washington State in the sense that they were the only school that took a chance on him. I mean, he was going to Central Arkansas, New Mexico State until Washington State took a look at him. Now, there's a million examples of guys that, we're the only school that recruited him, and he still goes elsewhere.
Sure.
So I do think that, yes, I don't think you can rule out the possibility that he leaves. I mean, again, there's enough money involved for quarterbacks nowadays that, it's the unfortunate truth that the solution to a Michigan, and I'm just using them as an example, the solution to Michigan's quarterback problem is to go buy one off another roster. They can't recruit. They haven't recruited a quarterback. Well, shoot, we better just go purchase one from a different team because we don't spend the money. We don't do enough scouting and evaluating to find the right guy. And that's the worst part of NIL for me is a Washington State develops a John Mateer. They put him in a spot to be a star, and I'm not blaming the kid for this at all, or any kid in this situation, and then another team says, yeah, we need a guy like that. Francisco Maingo is another great case. I mean, he had a couple of offers. Washington State showcases what he can do. Miami says, yeah, we like that guy. We're going to go buy him off the roster. There was the case 2 years ago where Dorian Singer's lighting up USC, and Caleb Williams tells Lincoln Riley, hey, are we going to go get this guy? And then he goes and he sits on the bench. So that was a bit of a tangent of a separate issue I have. But
hold on. But just to be fair though, we do it too. We do it to the smaller schools. We do it for Josh Kelly. We did it for Kyle Williams. I mean, it's all just a trickle down effect. I mean, we go and other schools develop these guys and we poach them out. I mean, I understand your point.
That's absolutely true. The one key difference I would just say is I think it's different that Kelly or Williams hits the portal, Washington State wins that recruitment, like with a Cyrus Webster. Then a team like Miami decides, hey, we're going to pay you. Now you get into the portal. I think that's where the difference comes in. Whereas Wazoo's not contacting Josh Kelly when he's on the Fresno State roster, telling you, hey, get in the portal, come to Washington State. And part of that is they don't have that kind of pull.
Right.
But that's just also not how they do business because you're not supposed to, and Wazoo wouldn't get away with it.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, do you know the team that has the offer on the table for Mateer?
I don't.
But you know that he has a.
There's a rumor out there right now that's circulating. It's a 7-figure offer. No idea on who it is, but it's a pretty solid stance.
West Coast team.
I have no idea. I will say this though. Let me. My turn. Okay. So being part of the collective from the very get-go, I was part of the Cam Ward deal right off the bat. All right. We gave him a package and it was over $100,000. I know Canzano said 90. It was over 100, but that included a truck, apartment, flights for his folks, all of that fun stuff, okay? So that was the original deal. His little agent / guy came back the next year and wanted to quadruple it. We told him to stuff it. We said that was the deal. When he comes here, we're not changing it because it's not pay to play. So he had 2 years at the same level, okay? He graduated from Washington State University. He went in as a grad transfer into the portal and leveraged Florida State and Miami to basically, get that bidding thing going. It was a perfect storm for Cam Ward. And I love the fact, you were talking about Mateer, beating out Cam Ward. He didn't beat Cam Ward out. Cam Ward beat Mateer out. He was the better quarterback those last 2 years. Now Mateer is better because he's finally got his chance to play. He's coming up on game 10 as a WSU starter, and he will probably graduate from college next year. So I could see a scenario where he sticks around. If Arbuckle stays, Dickert stays, that staff is together. They bring some people in around them. They have a really challenging, fun schedule next year where you're playing every single team in at least every conference with the exception of the Big 12. I think it could be an outstanding year, and I think he'll take a hometown discount if the right things hit. It's going to be difficult, but I think we got a shot at keeping John Mateer because of what I just mentioned.
Well, I mean, I think the way that you keep them is that you have to just tug at the heartstrings. You have to tug at the loyalty. There's a reason, Paul, you were probably a part of it. When they do the Cougar Collective get together on the Fridays at the lumber yard, they flew his mom in. Right, she had never been there before, I don't think. So
they have money to do that every game if she wants to come up. So
yeah, so I just there's little things like that. You've got to tap into this because he has it, Jim. John Mateer's got this small town Texas super loyal personality, and that's what you've got to tap that in. You've got to tap into that, and hopefully that's enough. But again, if some school offers him life-changing money. That's what $1 million is life-changing money.
How do you turn that down, guys?
I don't know. I don't know how you turn it down.
Honestly, if you were offered Puck or Jim or Jamie $1 million to do exactly what you're doing right now, maybe in a different location over what you're doing, are you going to say no?
I'll take $10.
Yeah.
It's more than I'm getting paid for this thing, that's for sure.
No,
No, see, Puck was loyal to me. I'm going to be loyal to him. So, yeah.
It's just going to be it's going to be a tough call. I mean, I just, there's part of me that wants to believe in the loyalty factor, but it's a whole different world now. I mean, it's completely different.
Yeah, and what's coming out is just the old man bitterness that I have about wanting college football to be what it used to be. It's just we're just in a position where we can't compete with these big money programs. We just can't. And so if John Mateer leaves, I'll be sad for sure, but I won't blame him because, whatever we're going to be able to offer, I mean, loyalty only goes so far. And boy, if he's getting, if there's one program right now already that's offering him $1 million, there's going to be several, at least $1 million. And it's probably going to, I mean, if Gabriel's getting $2 million, then why not John Mateer? He should be getting upwards of 1.5 anyway.
Hey, Jim, Minshew lasted 1 year, got us 11 wins, and then went to the pros. So, I mean, if he can get us to 11 and then, say, a bowl win, in the Alamo Bowl over a pretty damn good Big 12 team, get you to 12 wins, sets a school record, he's in the same boat as Minshew.
I know, but I think with his age and his skill set, he's got a chance to be at this school, go down pretty legendary, I think, among the quarterbacks. Hey, Jamie, before you go, what's the update on Wayshawn Parker? Pretty tight-lipped over there. Is he going to be okay for the New Mexico game?
Yeah, I think tight-lipped is probably a good way to put it. Jake said yesterday he felt pretty good about it. We'll probably get more clarity tomorrow when we talk to him again. He usually, on Monday, he doesn't talk to the doctors until after the press conference, or so he says. So we'll get more clarity on that. I tend to believe that, Wayshawn's been kind of nursing a little something all year. We've seen him come in and out a little bit. My guess is, hey, we're up 3-4 touchdowns. You're a key part of the rest of the season. We don't need to re-injure you in garbage time. I mean, it wasn't like I think if the game was close, he's in the game. So that's my belief. Again, we'll get a little bit more tomorrow. I would be fairly surprised just on, kind of the nature of the injury and the fact that Jake, I mean, if he was seriously hurt, I think Jake would have said something. He doesn't usually shy away from that. If a guy has an obvious injury in the game, he'll say it right away. He did with Andre Dollar. He's done it a few other times. So I think that's where we're at, where I would be pretty surprised based on what we know if he doesn't play on Saturday. And, I mean, we saw what he can do. They need him. Speaking of guys, they're going to have to probably pony up a little bit to keep.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's another one. All right, Jamie, thanks so much. Find all of Jamie's work up at CougFan.com. Appreciate the time, Jamie. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks.
There he is, Jamey Vinnick from CougFan. Again, CougFan.com. Yeah, I mean, that's Wayshawn Parker's going to be another guy. They got the pony.
How about Buddha on defense? He's not bad.
Buddha's going to want to get paid.
How about your corners that are playing pretty good, that are young, that are redshirt freshmen? They're pretty good.
Yeah.
There's dudes out there. This is a heavy lift for the collective to try to step up and keep these guys.
What did you guys, speaking of just of last week and just something I was thinking of, he didn't want to keep Wayshawn in, at the end of the game when it was a blowout. What did you guys think about how long, he kept him in the whole game, of keeping Mateer in the whole game?
He needs the experience, and the game was still in doubt. They went one play, 75-yard score. You don't want to. Remember UCLA a few years ago? We were only up 34 points and lost. Remember when we lost to Cal 60-59 when we have a chip shot field goal that cost the special teams coordinators?
This game, this was in doubt.
It doesn't matter. He's got 9 games under his belt. He needs the exposure, and finishing games is part of that. I had no problem.
It didn't even occur to me.
Really?
I mean, I was thinking about the point spread. I was glad he was in it.
Well, it occurred. If you guys didn't watch back to the game, I mean, Ryan Leaf was critical of it.
Yeah.
He didn't understand why he was still in the game. I mean, I do think there's a point. Listen, I know why he kept him in there late. He kept him in there late to score again.
Yeah.
Because he knows the style points matter. Now, the style points went out the window when his defense gave up a 72-yard touchdown run.
And they had backups in there. They had backups at the D-line, linebacker, and safety positions.
But therein lies my point to him, where I would say this to him when he comes on next time. I'd be like, well, wait a minute. You kept in your starting quarterback, the guy that runs your entire team, at risk of an injury. Some weird thing happens at the end because you wanted to get to 49 to make the score look worse than it was, right? You wanted a lopsided score to make it seem like you dominated a team. Style points matter with this stuff. If that's the case, then why did you put in your third-string defenders? That's my only
because
question.
It was hard to imagine that somebody was going to rip off a 72-yard run.
Okay,
especially on his first career carry, Jim.
All right,
that was his first touch in college football. He went 75.
I just think if you're trying to get style points, then push all your chips in.
Yeah, and you do need style points. I don't think you could get Jake to admit that, though.
Probably no. I don't think he's going to say that. Probably not. But
yeah,
well, I think
that's why he was in the game.
We're at that now because you have to impress these voters and these CFP board people and the people that are voting on all this crap, and they're not watching the games. They're just looking at the scores and trying to figure out was that a dominant performance or not.
Right. It's. Listen, I think Jake's done a good job this year. I think he's there's a lot that he's had to navigate, I think, through the time that he's been the head coach of this football team. And I think this year they've, the schedule is played out for him in a way where it's not as daunting as it was a year ago. But, I think that they, Paul, have gone through a pretty good landmine of teams that want to beat them, obviously aren't as talented as them. But they've got an X on their back now, especially where they're at. And so far, they've pulled out these wins and they've maintained a very good record. And they got a chance for the college football playoffs. I think he's done a great job this year of navigating which was just an absolutely uncertain world.
He's 23-17 for his record. He's relatively young. He's getting better as a head coach. He's got a very good young staff around him. You started with a Rolovich era where they brought him in, from Wyoming as a D coordinator, and all of the stuff that he's had to go through taking over for him through COVID, through the explosion of the Pac-12, through this minefield in the Mountain West and all the garbage they've had to put up with this year and next year. I think he's done a brilliant job. And the other thing that I really like, and I've been around coaches going all the way back to 1979 at Washington State, his culture that he is building with these kids and how he does it is a guy that I would absolutely want my kids to play for, and I would love to play for. So that's a difference maker in my opinion, and that's what Jake Dickert offers.
Paul, just to piggyback onto that, I thought we were going to have just scads of guys in the transfer portal, and we retained most of our guys, and it was amazing to think about because here we are in this uncertain situation. It's so great that Dickert has decided to hang in there and help us navigate our way through it, unlike Pat Chun, who took off. So that now we're seeing the benefits of that. So I'm going to try and talk myself into Mateer staying, because if all these other kids decided to stay, maybe Johnny Football will want to hang around in Pullman too.
Could be.
Look at the two DNs that had $300,000 bags. Now that's a difference, 300 and $1 million. But from a perspective, they set the tempo already. Jackson and Stone. Those guys, those guys were loyal dudes, and you can't tell me that didn't rub off on you. And that's the kind of culture that Jake is building, and that's the kind of player that Washington State recruits. They're not hiring these dudes like UW and Oregon that are the best paid players in the country. They're getting paid. It's better than anything we ever had. So no matter what happens, there will always be a leg up on that. And to be honest, and I'm going to just say this unselfishly, if one of the players on the team gets a life-changing offer like that, take it. Go. Do what you can, because there's no guarantees. I tore both my ACLs. And I was lucky to get through the 2 years in college and the 2 years in the pros because my knees were shot. And there's no guarantee that you're going to play, the next week or whatever it happens to be. This whole thing has changed because of this money crap and the transfer portal stuff. So what Jake has done to go on your coattails, Jim, I completely agree with it. And that's culture. And the other guys that left weren't going to play or were not happy with the situation. They'd quit anyway. So lost two guys. You lost Kelly and you lost Ward. That was it.
Yeah. Speaking of Kelly, we could really use Kelly. One thing I noticed last week, just, at Utah State is the offense. I don't know if they did something with the playbook here recently to dumb it down a little bit, but one thing that's missing from the offense right now is really a vertical passing game. They aren't stretching the field. They didn't have one ball, I don't remember, going over 20, 30 yards downfield. It was all sideline passes, bubbles, short passes, not a lot of vertical, like air raid passing offense. Why do you think that is, Paul?
That's the difference between Cam Ward and John Mateer. Cam really had a nice touch on the long ball. That was his strength. He could throw it, spin it, and his touch was awesome, okay? But John's got a baseball. He's a shortstop. He's got a baseball three-quarter swing. Leaf was talking about this on the deal. So his angles, that's a harder ball to throw deep when you're flinging it kind of off to the side. So, excuse me. So from that perspective, it's two different quarterbacks. You know, you have one guy with a nice touch that throws a high ball, another guy that's going to try to spin it in there, you know, get it in there hard, maybe not as accurate on the deep ball. And they're playing to the strengths of John Mateer, which I have no problem with.
Yeah.
Hey, if he stays around another year, we've had a lot of great quarterbacks at Washington State. Is he already in the top 10 and moving toward the top 5?
He broke the record for rushing yards. He's over 600 rushing yards. He could be a 1,000-yard rusher, Jim, and a 3,000-yard passer. Can you say Lamar Jackson? Now, that's not fair, you know, on a comparison because what Lamar has done on the professional level, but that's very Lamar Jackson-ish in terms of his ability to run and to throw. So if he puts a couple of years together like that, he's going to be a viable component. If not, CFL, hello, he's going to have a blast up playing up north.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a competitive standpoint, Jim, I think the way that he kind of leaves, it's not pretty at times, but the way that he competes, you know, he very much to me is on a level of like a Jason Gesser, his compete level.
Tim Rosenbaum.
You know, Rosenbaum.
Good combination of Gesser and Rosenbaum.
You know, there's just a lot of, like, he has a burning desire to want to win. Now, is he going to be the pocket passer that Bledsoe, Leaf,
Jack Thompson,
and all Jack and all these, Luke Falk? I mean, no, I don't think he's ever going to be it. Maybe one day he becomes that, but Alex. I mean, we'd be here for hours just naming all the quarterbacks. But I think from a competitive alpha male, I do not want to lose. He's going to be right up there. He has that in him.
And there's something to be said about that, Puck, as your leader. I mean, that's a guy you want to emulate, you 100%. Know, and kind of rally behind. So I'm all in on these guys. And let's also, Cougar fans, can we take a deep breath and enjoy the run? We're at 8-1 for Christ's sake. Have a chance to go to 9-1, then 10-1, and 11-1, and then who knows what happens, you know, on that front. So let's enjoy this. It doesn't happen that often, okay?
What do you think has a better chance of happening? The Cougs making the college football playoff, or the city of Pullman being, you know, finally finishing the downtown construction project?
Playoff, easy playoff.
No question, absolutely.
Playoff.
Yeah, Washington State all the way. They're playing Georgia in the first round. Let's go.
Nice job, City Pullman. Let's start construct. When did they start that? For God's sake,
1807. I think they just got the cobblestones off the ground. Way to bury those businesses downtown. Good Lord. Come on, man.
We were there last week. We were driving back through there, and they still got the detour through the town. You can't even drive downtown anymore. I'm like, that was like that back in the summer.
What?
And whose decision now we're going to get on Pullman businesses. Hey, whose decision was it to get rid of the sports page?
Yeah, that was a bonehead move. I'd like to know who came up with that one.
The hell? Yeah, let's get rid of that bar. That wasn't a fun bar that had a lot of character to it.
God, the stories
fucking
I could
idiot
tell
made
in
that call. Jesus.
Way to go, Puck.
The best thing about that bar is you had all the old helmets and then the small Husky helmet. They had pull tabs. God, it was great. I love that bar.
Oh, back in the day, boy. You
ruined it.
You could have a lot of fun.
I don't even know what it is. We drove by it. I think it's like it might be like a fancy cocktail.
I think you can get your underwear.
No, I think it's like a fancy cocktail bar or something.
Is it?
I don't know.
Great.
All right.
Jim, we can go get an appletini there. Wouldn't that be perfect? We have to drink it with our finger up in the air like this, though.
Yeah. That'd be good. You know, I mean, among many other things about Pullman, what I like, though, there are some areas in Pullman where I'm driving along, I'm going, Jesus Christ, it could be 1975 all over again, because there's some areas of town that haven't really changed.
Yeah, most of it.
Yeah, I know.
All right, boys. Appreciate another edition of the Old Crimson Cougars podcast in the books. Big thanks to the Cougar Collective for sponsoring this. Please go join the 1890 Club if you're a Cougar fan, haven't done so yet. Just $18.90 a month. You can also just make a one-time donation if you'd like. If you got a business and would like to collaborate your brand, you can do that as well. You can just visit cougarcollective.org for more information. Ask for Paul. Also, check out and anywhere in your grocery stores, the Old Crimson Legendary Lager. It's brewed by Pike Brewing, and sales benefit the Cougar Collective. Also, if you can make it over, maybe you're on the east side of the mountains or you want to travel over to Spokane November 21st against Eastern Washington. That game put on in part by the Cougar Collective, and sales of those tickets benefit the Cougar Collective. Just go to the cougarcollective.org. Also go to Coug Collective on Twitter for more information. And also a big thanks to Andy Largent, Flat Stick Pub. 6 great locations across the area: Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. They got you covered for everything. FlatStickPub.com. Paul Sorensen, Jim Moore. I'm Jason Puckett. You can check it out on YouTube. Please subscribe there to the Old Crimson Cougars podcast. Also listen to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, and of course up at pucksports.com. All right, boys, we'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Hey, have a good one, Puck and Jim. Go Cougs.
If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com.